The NFL Draft is a game of dreams and nightmares. For some teams, it's a ticket to success. For others, it's a gamble that ends in disaster. Today, we're uncovering the stories of the biggest draft busts in NFL history. Players who didn't just fail to live up to expectations, but derailed their team's plans entirely. From overhyped prospects to outright scandals, these are the cautionary tales that haunt the league and is the motivation behind draft research every college season. Let's start with Vince Young, a player who seemed destined for greatness. Drafted third overall in 2006 by the Tennessee Titans, Young hit the ground running, earning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. His dual threat ability electrified fans and gave the Titans hope. But the magic didn't last. In his second season, his performance started to decline. Fewer touchdowns, more interceptions, and a visible struggle to adapt. By 2010, Young was out of Tennessee, his once promising career in shambles. Mental health challenges, conflicts with coaches, and inconsistent play ultimately saw him fail to live up to his huge potential.
Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf.
Two can't-miss rookie quarterbacks.
Both have potential to be stars for a long time.
In 1998, the San Diego Chargers had a tough choice at quarterback: draft Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. Manning was the safe pick, but Leaf had the raw talent and swagger. The Chargers went with Leaf at number 2 overall, and it's a decision they'll regret forever. Leaf's problems started immediately. He clashed with teammates, alienated coaches, and crumbled under the media spotlight. His on-field play was just as disastrous: 14 touchdowns and 36 interceptions in 3 seasons. Injuries and off-field issues sealed his fate, and by 2001, he was out of the league. Leaf later admitted he wasn't ready for the pressure of the NFL. His downfall is one of the most infamous in league history, proving that talent alone isn't enough to succeed at the highest level.
Well, the best kept secret in the Northwest. We would like to introduce you to our number 1 pick in the supplemental, Brian Bosworth.
Brian Bosworth, or the Boz, was one of the most polarizing figures in football, and few players have entered the league with higher potential. Drafted in the first round of the 1987 supplemental draft by the Seattle Seahawks, Bosworth came with a big personality, even bigger expectations, and a lot of trash talk. But on the field, he couldn't back it up. Injuries plagued his career, and his performance never lived up to the hype. His most infamous moment?
And Bo Jackson to the 20 and out in front, and only one man to beat. And
getting steamrolled by Bo Jackson on national television, a play that perfectly encapsulated his career. The Boz lasted just 3 seasons in the NFL before retiring due to shoulder injuries. Despite his short stint, his name remains synonymous with unfulfilled potential.
Those child, they start to think like, am I really that bad that they born?
Jamarcus Russell was the ultimate boomer bust prospect. At LSU, he had a rocket arm and all the physical tools scouts drool over. The Oakland Raiders couldn't resist, selecting him first overall in 2007. But Russell's work ethic, or lack thereof, was his downfall. Stories emerged about him showing up overweight and unprepared. He famously received a blank DVD from coaches who wanted him to study film. When asked about it later, he claimed he'd watched it. Hardly a surprise then that on the field, his numbers were abysmal: 18 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, and a career completion percentage below 50%. By 2010, he was out of the league, leaving the Raiders with nothing to show for their investment. Trey Lance's story is still unfolding, but so far, it's been a disaster for the San Francisco 49ers. In 2021, the Niners gave up 3 first-round picks to move up and select Lance at number 3 overall. They envisioned him as the franchise quarterback who would take them to the next level. Instead, Lance has been plagued by injuries and inconsistency. He's played in just 8 games over 2 seasons, starting only 4. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy, a 7th-round pick, emerged as the team's starter, leaving Lance as an afterthought. In 2023, the 49ers traded Lance to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th-round pick, a steep fall from the lofty expectations that accompanied his arrival. In 1989, Tony Mandarich was dubbed the best offensive line prospect of all time. At 6'6" and 330 pounds with freakish athleticism, he was a can't-miss pick, or so everyone thought. Drafted 2nd overall by the Green Bay Packers, Mandarich quickly became a disaster. Off-field issues, including substance abuse and arrogance, derailed his career. He played just 3 underwhelming seasons in Green Bay before being released.
I remember I was working at a restaurant. They had a bus boy there that was an older guy, and he was doing steroids, And so we would go to the gym together, and next thing you know, it was just like something we did.
Right.
You know, and
Mandarich later admitted to steroid use during college, which explained his superhuman performances. His failure is a classic case of hype not matching reality.
The 2012 winner of the Heisman Memorial Trophy is Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel was a college superstar, winning the Heisman Trophy and dazzling fans with his improvisational play. Manziel should have been a top 5 pick, maybe even number 1, but rumors of his off-field antics reached the league. Nevertheless, the Cleveland Browns took him 22nd overall in 2014, convinced he could bring excitement to their long-suffering franchise. Unfortunately for the Browns, Manziel's off-field antics quickly became a problem. Partying, legal troubles, and a lack of preparation doomed his NFL career. In 2 seasons, he threw just 7 touchdowns and as many interceptions. Perhaps the most damning part of his story is that he convinced the Browns to draft him by texting their coach, "I want to wreck this league together." Instead, he wrecked his own career and set the Browns back yet again. What do these players have in common? Incredible potential, poor decisions, and teams that showed faith but were ultimately left disappointed. From Vince Young's early promise to Jamarcus Russell's infamous laziness, these busts highlight the high stakes of the NFL draft. But the question remains, who's to blame? The players for not living up to expectations, the teams for ignoring red flags, or the system that puts so much pressure on young athletes? Or is it just one of those things? Not everyone can make it big. Is it that unknown prospects can emerge from nowhere and reach the top, and college superstars can fall from grace and get nowhere? Is that just sport? Either way, you never know where the next star or the bust is going to come from.